Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Scientech Hub. Today in this video, I'll be discussing about how to deploy your Node.js application into Docker. So after a long time, I got some time to make the video because I was busy with my office work. So I was not able to upload any video for so long, but I will try to be consistent and try to upload video from now onwards. So in this video, I will see how we can deploy our simple Node.js application into Docker Hub. So before that, we need to have a basic idea of what is Docker. So before that, if you want me to make one video on Docker, then you can comment down below. I will make a separate video for Docker because Docker is not a small thing; it's a huge thing. We have to discuss so many things on Docker and how to install Docker and Docker comments and everything. But pre-assuming that you guys already have an idea of Docker and already installed in your system Docker container, and then only you can proceed with this video. Otherwise, you can skip the video. So, as an initial stage, I will be discussing what is Docker a little bit by saying only the description. So, Docker is kind of a platform to design and develop, build, share, and run containerized application, right? And it's also a platform that allows you to build, test, and deploy your application very quickly. Almost all the things as a part of SDLC you will able to do by using Docker, and that is also very easy and in a quick manner, right? So that is summarized description you can say about Docker. So in this video, I will be deploying one Node.js application in Docker, in a very small little Node.js application into Docker. So let's see. I'll be starting from scratch. So at first, I will initialize node packages. Done. As I have made main file as app.js, so I'm keeping that app.js. And apart from that, I'm installing one Express npm. Done. So only this much is enough to deploy my small application. So before that, I want to make one route so that we can check with what we are going to deploy. Then we will mention the port. Do a little console log over here. And I will make a small route to check whether our application is running perfectly or not. In Docker, sorry. Don't need to put async because we are not performing any asynchronous operation, just only printing the result. So let's see status 200 and message application successfully deployed to Docker container. Only this much we will do, and the moment okay, let's see npm. Okay, before that we have to modify a little in the package.json file. Instead of test, replacing it with start, and I'll be doing node app.js. So npm run start. So my app is running on 5000 port, and if I want to see like this route is working or not, so let's keep it secret and let's see after deploying our code into Docker, we will see this message will show or not. Okay, so let's start with the Docker one. So for deploying our application into Docker, what are the mandatory steps? At first, we have to make one Docker file. So the Docker file, we have to write it like this way, Docker file, and you will see it is automatically generating one Docker image. I mean Docker logo, and after that we have to also keep one Docker ignore file. So what is Docker ignore file? Docker ignore file is almost similar to Git ignore file. So like in the Git ignore file, we always put the node modules and also some secret or some env file which we don't want to push in our repo. So the same thing we will be going to do in our Docker ignore file. We will be put our node modules, the modules and the files which we don't want to mention or which we don't want to deploy into Docker. So those file we mention in our Docker ignore file. So in here, what we will do in the Docker ignore file, we will be writing node modules. Anyways, we will be installing the node modules inside Docker by our commands only. So we don't need to push this node module inside our Docker. Okay, and now the main file is Docker file. So here I have to write few lines of code, and that is very simple. I will describing line by line so that you can understand. It's very easy. So now at first we will check what is our node version. So as my version is 20, above 20 my node version. So based on that, I will be doing, at first you have to mention the node version. So as builder. So here nothing I have done, only I mentioned the my version of my node module, and we have to write this as builder. If you want, you can also remove that as builder part or this alpine as well. Only mention that particular node version, that will also work. And after that, we have to mention our environment. Like we always know, like in STLC, at first we have some local code, then we are pushing that code to development branch. After that, we are pushing our code to QA and then production according to that. So based on that, we can also set the environment into our Docker file to mention to check like our code is deployed in a specific stage or not. And that is also optional, because in my stage I'm not going to make any production ready application. It's just to show you how you can deploy your small Node.js application. But I'm mentioning the environment. So here you can write like this way. First, I'm mentioning it as dev. Oh, only dev is enough. Apart from that, now we have to make one directory inside our Docker. So in Windows, for making directory, what we do? Basically, we do mkdir, and mkdir, this is actually responsible for making any folder or any directory. The same thing we are doing here as well. So we are also mentioning the path like this way. It will create one folder inside our Docker. Okay, now we have by this comment we already created one specific folder path, and now we have to go inside this folder path to deploy our code. So work directory would be the directory which we have already created, right? And apart from that, I have to write one line of code for copy. So this is copy dot dot means this is actually copying all the files and the modules which we have mentioned in our node application. Apart from that, like for first time deployment, I am mentioning copy dot dot, but for the second time deployment, you can also change the Docker file, and instead of copy dot dot, you can also write copy package dot star JSON. So it will only deploy our package like new npm module. And also if you upload any new file or any new file related to the application which you have added in your second time deployment, then also you can do copy dot dot. Okay, this is specific to your requirement. Now the main thing we need to do, we have to run npm install command. and the main thing, we have to expose our port. So the port we have mentioned here, that is 5000, right? So we have to expose our port 5000 and cmd. In cmd we write very simple node app.js. So that means it will run our app.js file, like the thing we are doing in package.json, what we have mentioned, like node app.js, the same thing we will be mentioning here, node app.js, right? So this is enough to deploy my Node.js application into Docker. So for me, my Docker is already pre-installed. But if it is not installed in your system, you can also comment down below. Like if you want a separate video for how to install Docker, then I can also make a separate video for that. But for me, it is already installed. And if you want, you can also take help from other YouTube videos. There also you will see, like they have mentioned how to install the Docker. Right now, this much is enough. Now we need to use to command, right? So like inside the Docker, two things will happen. One is it will create one image, and after that we will be deploying that image in our Docker container. So the first step is the image generation, right? So for image generation, the command we basically use, that is docker build -t, then uh, yt docker, right? So why we put the name like this way? So this is the username for me, like syntax hub 11, this is my username, and yt docker is the image name. Okay, so for you the image, the username will be different. So while installing the Docker, it will give you some option to create your username and your password to log in inside the Docker system. So based on that, you can create your username, and after that, what you have to do? So the basic command is docker build -t and the username and then the image name. So this is my image name. So this way we will be deploying our image into the Docker. So let's see whether our image created successful or not. Let's see. You see, line by line, it is just executing line by line code. What we have right over here, already written over here. Okay, I think our image creation is successful. Now let's go inside the Docker, check the image. Yeah, you see, our image creation is successful. Now the same thing we will do. We will run this image, or you can say we can containerize. How we can containerize this particular image? So for that we have one separate command, that is docker run -p. Here one thing to mention, right? So as you have already known that we have already exposed the port 5000. So this is the port and this is my host, right? So this is host means the domain. For a local host, we basically use the port 80 as a significant of a local host. But apart from that, if you are deploying, if you want to deploy your certain Docker application in a specific domain, that also you can mention. But this, so this is main thing is, this is the right hand side part is the domain and the left hand side part is the host, right? Sorry, the right hand side part is the host and the left hand side part is the domain. Okay, so that thing always mention. So this is the host, so 80 is the host, like domain, and the 5000 is the port. So domain and port. So port you can change multiple times, and as well as host you can also change. Based on that it will run, right? Now in my local system I have used the port 80. Apart from that, you can also try with some other port to check whether it will run or not. Okay, now I will be mentioning the same image name which we have already created. Okay, so as you see, like our image started running into Docker. So let's see whether it has successfully deployed or not. And you also see like it has taken some random name. right? So if you want to avoid some random name, then you can also mention in the comment only, you can also mention like docker run, and then your specific container name, you can also mention the container name, then it will create with that particular with that specific container name. As as in this comment, I have not mentioned any specific container name, so it is generated with a random container name, right? Now so it is running, it is showing us the status is running. So now let's see whether it is running or not. Okay, so it is running. As you see, as I have told, like port 80 is for localhost, and then you can say like this is 5000. Okay, so it is taking like so this is taking like my localhost address, and with this this is like localhost and colon port 80, that is my localhost address, and this is my docker application is running, my node.js application. So this is the message which we want to print: application successfully deployed in docker container, right? So now we'll check one more time, like we can see like our node.js application is also running. Now I'm closing this one. Okay, I'm just destroying this terminal. Now let's see whether our code is running or not. You will see, yeah, still our code is in running mode, because in docker we have already deployed our container, and our container is running. Now if we stop this one, then you will see our application is also not working, right? So now it is running, so it will take time to now it has stopped. Now if you see, you will see like our application also stopped running, right? Now at the moment I am starting this one, you will see our localhost also started running and showing the result. Okay, so you can also locally deploy this way, right? Also you can deploy in a specific domain, and with a specific port as well, right? So this way, a small Node.js application you can deploy. In afterwards, after videos, I mean in later videos, I also want to make some videos on deploying in several platform. Like I also show you how to deploy your Node.js application in Render, and also you can deploy, like you can use multiple resources of AWS like EC2, ECR, ECS to deploy your Node.js code. So that is my planning. Like my future planning, I want to make one deployment series for Node.js. Let's see how much I'm able to execute, because I'll actually have a full-time job, and side by side I'm doing this. So let's see, but I'll try to keep it very simple, and so that everybody can understand and love to do whatever I am doing, and also you will enjoy it if you practice it in your system. Okay, so in this video, till this only. In the next video, I'll be talking about any more deployment services. Thank you guys.